but at what cost? More money, less peace, more titles, less time, more applause, less purpose. There has to be a better way. We were never made to live in pieces. We were created to live whole. Build a whole life, not just one part. Purpose before progress. God at the
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Good day to you. Thank you for tuning in. If it's afternoon or morning your time, I'm sure you're doing great today, and thanks for making the time out of your lunch or the time. What you're doing to join this quick conversation. So, I just wanted to share a quick conversation in 15 to 20 minutes, right? And this is something that is very dear to my heart, and I want everyone to just connect to this conversation. It's something I've called the architecture of success, and I'll walk you through what I mean in very simple ways, right? Because we're in a world today where there are several professionals who they look on the external facade that they are doing so well, succeeding, but then there are internal fragmentations, right? And it's a conversation that doesn't top the mainstream, agenda in trainings, in the workplace, and everybody tries to pull up a good facade. And so it's something we should talk about, right? And I felt, well, let's put out the slides. Let's just have a conversation around these. If there's somebody you know who should watch this, please share this with them as well. Um, this is a quick conversation, but we are having a full blown summit that I will be able to even deep dive on this conversation a lot more. That conversation will happen tomorrow, right? August 8th, right? So I'll share about that when we are done with the conversation. Now, let's just dive into the bone of contention. Well, we shouldn't call it a contention, but the idea is that, like I said, this is a conversation that isn't topping media conversations on. People don't talk about it on LinkedIn. Everybody comes to talk about, oh, I'm glad to announce, I'm excited to announce. Yeah, so we don't talk about this. So let me walk you through what I mean in very simple practical steps, right? That will help see what I'm saying. So most times when people think about success, I know it's a very overused word, right? Literally, some to some extent, it has perhaps been abused. So when people talk about success, people think about quickly what comes to mind. You think about, oh, maybe you think about talent. You think about, some people even think about luck. Some people think about maybe the hard work and the efforts of putting in. Now, while I'm not ruling all of that out, follow me, I'm going somewhere, right? So I have a very good background in architecture, right? And it builds a lot of the framework I teach and coach, right? And one of the beautiful thing I learned, from architecture is the fact that nothing happens by accident. Nothing, no single development, facility, infrastructure happens by accident. Everything was consciously designed, right? And when I look at that, whether it's a building, whether it's a kind of construction, an airport, whether it's even a simple residential facility, whether it's a full estate, whether it's an airport, whatever it is, the quality of the outcome most times is largely determined long even before construction began. Now, put that in the context of our lives as human beings. As we live every single day, we're typically constructing the faces of our lives. You clocked your birthday yesterday, last month, last week, last year, December, and then you're coming to a new birthday this year, December. You're literally constructing the floors of that building called life, life, called you, called me. That's architecture. That's the idea that before we begin the construction, how much of intention has gone into our being. That's the first thought I wanted to hold without forgetting, right? Now, when we put it in full perspective in our journeys of life, I wanted to just pause and think about it, right? What if you have a frame of design of how you live as a human being, right? What if you have a frame beyond just, waking in the morning, beating the traffic, getting to your workplace, right? And, repeating that every day in, day out, right? And for some, most times, we typically have it sorted out as it relates to, work and workplaces, but other areas of life we really do not have it all figured out, right? So there's no design around that. For most people, they have an idea that, okay, the next 5 years, this is what I want to do in my career. I want to do this, I want to do that. But can you say that also for other areas of your life? So most times people think about success in layers. People think about academic success. When we're in school, the focus was academic success. Do well, get a good degree, finish a good grade, right? And then, we got into the world of work, and then they talk about, career success. And so everybody tries to, grow the career ladder, get promoted, start a business, do all of that. And then you come into another zone again, they talk about, marital success, they talk about, so we have literally the model that was passed to us was to see success as something we do in different boxes. So somebody who is succeeding in career at the expense of other things, right? But the picture of success and the design of it as it's meant to be is not meant to be in those boxes, right? It's meant to be as a whole. And I want to give you another illustration to help you simmer on this. When a building is being constructed, right, there's always a purpose for it. So, right, um, an hospital is not designed like a hotel, right? A school is not designed like an airport. Churches are not designed like shopping malls, right? And I can go on and on. The reason is because the purpose determines the design. I'll say that again. The purpose determines the design. So the question is this: if purpose determines the design of buildings, what should determine the design of our lives? Now we're going somewhere. This is the architecture of success. If purpose determines the design of buildings, what should determine the design of our lives? Go into the chat and share your thought with me. I think, and that is the understanding of what I'm sharing that I've helped thousands of people walk through this same ideology, is the fact that the purpose as well of our lives determines the design of our lives. And that is a lot of game changer. But that's not even where I'm getting to. I want us to get to a crux in this conversation, right? So you find that most people are trying to build life, right, before discovering what it is for. So that's like in construction, that would be a shanty, because a shanty is something you build without having an idea of what you're even building. So every building, beyond even the purpose, you also come into the thought that every building needs a strong foundation, right? So um it's not about the appearance of the building, it's not the facade, it's about what strengthens is the structure, right? The stamina. So whether you're going through transition, whether you're going through difficult seasons, the structure is firm enough, right? I'll talk a lot more about that at the Success Driver Summit tomorrow, right? That's a whole lot conversation, but I want to keep your thoughts in what we started. Thinking about the fact that if buildings have designs, right, lives also have designs, and we've talked about that. I'll look at this other perspective of things, right? And this one talks about the fact that every building has systems, right? You talk about electricity system, you talk about ventilation, you talk about the lighting system. There are a lot of systems that make up a building, right? Drainage and all of that. Now, once one system begins to fail, it affects others. So we are not treating life like, okay, my focus is just to do well and do well in my career. If other areas and domains of life are not doing well, it's going to affect even the one that is doing well. So that's the same way your career, your relationships, your health, right, your finances, your cognitive growth, your emotional well-being, they all can impact on your total well-being. In the life harmony architecture, I call them as the 9 domains, right? And what I try to do in that framework, if you join us at the webinar tomorrow, I will walk you through. I'll walk you through that concept, right? That concept of the architecture in fuller detail. But the picture is that in the life harmony architecture framework, what I did was to help professionals understand that there are 9 domains of our lives, right? And I used a typical example I had of a bicycle wheel, right? Um, and a story comes to my mind really, and I'll just share that before I begin to round up my thought with you. When I was on my doctoral program, right? So earlier before that, I'd been planning to get married, right? But somebody shared a very good candid advice to me, and says, "Oh, why not finish this first, right? So, and after that, you can now focus on this." Now, and this is a thought that I'd had before. I'd known about this. My life had been a model of what I'm sharing with you right now. And so when I reflected on that advice, I knew where he was going to. He was going to the old model. The old model was a traditional model. Almost every professional was handed to focus on this one before this. So you find many professionals that are doing well in career, but they've not even resumed and thought about their marriage goal. So marriage is on suspension, right? They beat the traffic, but they are doing that at the expense of their health, right? They're doing so well on the external facade, but at home they're having pains they have not eat from, emotions they have not, negative emotions they've not worked on, right? So there are a lot of issues in emotional well-being, right? No time to recreate, no time to have proper rest. Many other domains are just at standstill because the model we were handed to was to focus on one area. And I just knew that that was what that advice was tending towards. And I progressed with my doctoral program, and at the same time progressed also with my marital plan, right? I got married, right, and I finished the doctoral program at the same time as well. And so it's just that picture that when you understand that life is not about boxes, you can succeed at everything without sacrificing anything. I'll take that again. You can succeed at everything without sacrificing anything. I know it sounds like an ambition, but that's true. And that's the challenge I want to give to you, to help you see that you can succeed at everything working together, all domains, all the 9 domains of your life working together without sacrificing anything. So the question is not about how successful am I. The question is about how well has my life been designed. Am I having all round success, not just in one area, right? So this is a beautiful one, and this is a thought that I just wanted to share to challenge you and to help you see that aspect of life so that you don't go past the journey of life and find that, oh, you had missed on other parts because maybe you were not opportune to know that. And I'm gonna just share. If you check on the screen, you see the link to join us at the summit tomorrow. I will do a full deep dive to help you see this conversation we have begun, and to see how that reality works for you and for every professional out there. Please share this short conversation we've had to as many people, and we should hear this, right? It's a burden for me, and it pains me a lot seeing professionals who are succeeding just in one typical box as we're painted to, and other areas of life is not growing, right? It's something we should work on, and there's a model to help you see that you can actually achieve all round success without sacrificing anything, right? So the Success Driver Summit, let me see if I could put up that. If you check my profile as well, you see the material, the link as well, and other materials I shared about the summit. And around this conversation, you see other posts I made about this conversation that will get you, thinking deeply, right? This is a conversation that needs to really come on top, in many circles. Share with your colleagues, and let's talk about this and much more. Let's get to see at the Success Driver Summit tomorrow. You can also scan the QR code on the screen to register for the summit, visit abrahamoshene.com/webinar before registration closes. There's also a tool I will be gifting to everyone who joins the summit. It's a new psychometric tool that we'll be unveiling publicly tomorrow at the summit as well. And this tool typically helps you to diagnose your life. In the context of just I've shared it, you can know what domains have I neglected. Without even you knowing, unconsciously you've neglected them. You can go through that tool and you'll be able to get personalized diagnosis, and you know how to pick it up from there, right? What you don't measure can be improved on, right? So I'm going to close it out here. Let me know your thought. Put your thought in the chat. If this conversation was very helpful to you, and what really struck you, and join us as well at the Success Driver Summit, which we're having tomorrow. Don't miss it. It's a live experience in Nigeria time. That's 7 p.m. Nigeria UK time, right? Check out what that time is in your own zone, right? So you do not miss that. abrahamocean.com/webinar. Join us, and we're going to have a beautiful time. So it's not about working harder, as good as that is. It's not about other metrics, as it were, and indicators we've been told over the years. It's about designing better. It's about designing the whole life, not just one area, right? Ensuring that all areas of life work properly and effectively, right? And that's going to be the picture. It's been a beautiful time. You spending your lunchtime with me all the time, whenever you're watching this, right? To have this conversation. And I'm going to see you at the Success Driver Summit happening tomorrow, right? Don't miss it. This is our 2026 edition. The last edition we had was 2024, right? So you don't want to miss this year's edition. It's going to be awesome. I will do a full deep dive, share my screen with you, walk you through the frameworks, and see how you begin to see life differently, picturing it in all around for all around success as it has been designed to be. Right. Thank you for making the time. It's a bye from here. I'll see you. Thank you, and God bless you.